So that's then on the microcosm. And then on the macrocosm, it seems like we look at the, like Diddy and him using these like covert power tactics as it relates to sexuality and creativity in the music industry. So there's like a big macrocosm of that starting to get like examined and looked at in finer detail. And then we have this kind of play that's happening within influencer culture, um, celebrity culture at large, this idea of the worshiping outside of ourselves. And the people that are actually living those lives and the power, the masks that they seem to be linking up to, like it seems like it's almost its own frequency band within the collective at large, within the shadow of the collective at large, because I've now had a couple opportunities here just in this last month of June, on what has felt like a portal all month, where I've had experiences with people in the influencer space. Like we had somebody come and stay with us, and like it was all kind of like under kind of false pretenses of needing a place to stay, and then wasn't like particularly like respectful of the space when he was here, and like just kind of seeing a closer look at like the illusion of whatever is being portrayed on social media. And then we have an ongoing thing with who we can call Jay Armadillo and his wife, Amy Bukaki.
Good.
I don't know if I can
So,
say that on YouTube,
yeah.
but or say that. Where this person has been publicly portrayed themselves as a safe space within like the kink community and being a dom and like this sexual exploration, and how he was setting himself up as like this social media spearhead of these power and sexual dynamics from another lens. And now that he has been accused of like 50 plus women of being at the very least inappropriate and at the most downright violent. And we're seeing how he's trying to save face and how he's trying to like almost like this black hole of this type of energy that's trying to like pull other people and public opinion like in to verify like their version of reality. On a larger whole, this seems to be kind of getting into the nitty gritty of what's objective reality and what's subjective reality. And is there a truth that, which then again, maybe that truth is subjective? Is that like what Christ was coming to allude to, that like, hey, this is like when you're out here swimming in this sea of consciousness and all of these different dynamics, when you need to anchor towards what feels like growth and creation and forward movement, the energy of Christ seems to be a highway to that type of experience. So I'm like experiencing that energy from a different lens of the validity of that. Um, then we have a situation that's much more close and personal, which is, well, okay, another one that's further out in the ether is this thing with I just want to call him the heir to the fleshlight throne, because that's just
That's, yeah. That's
because I
code.
mean, because I mean, way to be in denial of your roots, my friend. This is this is an ancestral journey, if more than anything else, in a lot of ways. Uh, and his wife, who I actually went to a retreat and had personal experience of like her energy at a time, several years ago. So we were all in different times and places at that point. But how the spiritual community, how he's kind of come out to try to rebrand and kind of use this spin tactic, which to me feels very much like a power dynamic built off the back of sexual life force, creative energy. So there must be some sort of egregore or entity or, the larger god up the chain that people that are playing in this power dynamic, sexual misery type thing, that they're capitalizing on it. And so, okay, it's teaching many of us discernment because, it's kind of wild. But then on the outside, I'm looking at it for myself going like, is it you can certainly go have your objective truth, but it doesn't seem rooted in anything but like death energy, like a black hole collapsing in on itself. Like it does not seem to lead to like greater creation. It seems short-sighted, manipulative. So then what's the other side of this? Like what's the turn to the energy? What's on the other side? Because I don't feel like we've experienced it. I'm getting a little bit in the weeds here. So my last situation where it feels like it's drawing in closer is, we'll call them Uncle Fester and Sally.
Nice.
Which are personal friends. We were close for the friendship was kind of built. We were all acquaintances of a similar friend group. And then it was early in like Chris and I's kind of like healing work, kind of like offering some of the tools that we had discovered. And I think in the beginning of offering tools that you have discovered, you are definitely at risk for believing your own legend, and you know, everything's a learning tool. And so I think that in our kind of saviorism energy, we were approached by somebody who was maybe not really looking to be saved so much as like to feel like they were being validated in their life choices by having friends that made them seem more validated. Uh, we in the like throes of that friendship, it got to a place where it became clear that Chris and I, for all of our effort, work, free sessions, uh, and just friendship and time together, we were not making we were not finding ourselves in a relationship where we were being seen and appreciated for like what we brought to the table, and we were also not seeing them, or what we were seeing, we were going like, yeah, that's not something, those aren't qualities of friendships or things that I want in my life. Which boiled into a moment of the boyfriend in this couple, Uncle Fester, getting violent with Sally. And that was kind of the like, okay, so here's the breaking point. Here's what I'm going to claim in this moment as my objective truth, that the body is the technology, and that to be so bold as to attempt to harm another body is a direct representation of where you are in your consciousness journey, and we are not going to see each other. And I want relationships with people, at least from friendship level, with people that I feel like see me and I see them. So it was a messy breakup, just in terms of like Chris and I and them as a couple, because it's like, okay, hard lines have to be drawn here. And it was difficult because there's that part of that saviorism that I wanted to like jump in and make it better, and like, oh, and so even after we moved, Sally and I kind of like rekindled our friendship because I had this like constant thought in like, there always has to be a path back. because I believe in a benevolent universe and I believe in God, source, that there's always a path back.
Yeah.
So then we're back on this subjective, objective thing. Like, is there really a path back? Or is this just a belief of my own making? Is this me aligned with the energy of Christ that sees that there can be, but like also don't want to take responsibility for somebody else finding that or figuring that out? So I decided to throw a party right around the solstice. I got a message, basically, throw a party. June was going to be important. And it had been like a year that it had been like circling of like, June's going to be important. And they never say why. Like, they like to, your higher self likes to see you ride the ride, enjoy the roller coaster. So I just kind of had it like circling. Well, Chris and I's wedding anniversary, which this was going to be year 13, which is the number that is the divine feminine, that represents the divine feminine in kind of like esoteric circles. And it was the week after the solstice, which already feels like such a portal between worlds, and like this year felt so much like it was a bridging of the higher dimension and the lower dimension and kind of like this interplay. And so I invited Sally, did not invite Uncle Fester, because he really hadn't shown. I had been home to visit. I thought things had like maybe moved forward based on like some of the conversations that she and I were having. And then that was like, then I saw behind the mask, and I saw what I needed to see that no, that those things had not changed or shifted, despite the words, which same thing with John Armadillo and Aubrey, or what do we call it? Heir to the Fleshlight Throne.
Yeah.
And, and now Uncle Fester, like, okay, you're telling me the words, like, you really want me to believe the words, but now I can hear under the words, like, whatever that is, and I can see and I can experience, and like, my objective truth and my subjective truth and your subjective truth, we're not aligned. But I did extend that invitation into like the portal party space, like, of this whole solstice thing, and like trying to kind of get her to like come have the experience and like kind of step this way. This is after she has told me that like she's really wanting to leave him, really wanting, all the conversations that we're having is like she wants to break up. So right before the party, she calls me, and I already had a feeling she wasn't coming because she had kind of like gotten like weirdly like angry and emotional at me for saying like, hey, I want you to come, just so you know, like, you decide what you want, but like, I want you there, like, as a friend, like, I'm trying to help you see me so we can be like in this relationship dynamic. And she responded by just, I guess, feeling a lot of pressure by that, and which was not my intention. And also kind of indicated to me like, okay, you're in between the throes of like a life with this person that you're speaking out of both sides of your mouth. You're telling me that you want this other life that does not include him, and you're clearly telling him something different. I don't know what's happening here. I can only go by the experiences and the conversations that we're having. So she calls me right before like everybody was to arrive for the party to tell me that she's not coming, which I already knew, just like intuitively. And then she tells me some insane story of violence where things really blew up between them. He's talking in demonic voices, and he was absolutely completely gone from his body. She was sure he was going to kill her. So much so that she is, hiding on the back deck of her porch, praying to God to come save her.
Oof.
In the throes of that, she throws her cell phone to like get it away from him so he doesn't get it. And in that The phone calls her dad. So her dad is now on the phone for an hour or however long this is all playing out, hearing what's going on, unbeknownst to Uncle Fester and Sally. So dad calls her mom. Mom calls the police to come to the house because mom and dad don't live together. They're divorced. Sally has a whole story around the abandonment of her father, which just the irony of like you prayed to God for someone to save you and your dad showed up. I mean, you can't write it better than that.
Yeah.
So the cops show up. She's not going to press charges. Dad's not there yet because he's got a bit of a drive. The cops say, well, you need to leave the lights on, leave the blinds open. That way, if, we can drive around the block, we can see you until your dad gets here. In all of that, Uncle Fester is trying to de-escalate. Right now, he's like trying to walk it back and, oh, everything's fine. You don't need to call your dad. Call him, tell him not to come. Like I'm going to play all nice, right? Which is like such a played out, obvious.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, so when dad gets there and tells Sally, go pack a bag, we're leaving, then Uncle Fester flips out. You don't own her, like, which is an insane thing to say about a person that you say you love and are in a relationship with.
And considering, it's almost like there's no memory of what just happened before.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like
these masks are so, like, this is the definition of like schizophrenia or like it's the split mind. Like your reality, you are not in your center moment in your center. Like you don't exist there. You have so many walls built up. So he's trying to like fight her dad, which like, I don't care what relationship you have, like that's insane. That's an insanely just disrespectful, like that's just not and maybe I have rose-colored glasses or whatever. I mean, I have done a lot of ancestral work and like I don't know, man. I would be mortified if like I was dating someone that like went at my dad like that. No matter like what the history between my dad and I would be. I'd be mortified.
Yeah.
So she leaves. He takes her to her mom's. She's there for a couple days. By the time I hear of all this, she's calling me. She is on her way back to the house she shared with Uncle Fester, saying that nobody agrees with her to do this. He's gone. He's not at the house. He's staying in a homeless shelter or going to a homeless shelter, or we don't know where he is. She needed to get some things. And like, I'm hearing it and all my alarm bells are going because I'm like, this is how these things like they bleed back together. Like, this is crazy. Like, you thought this person was going to kill you less than a week ago. Like, is that what you think your worthiness is? Is that where you are at? Is this where you're operating? Like, what do you think you need from this person? So she's like assuring me, like, I'm not going to see him. I'm like, you're going to change the locks when you get there. Like, I mean, fine. You want to go to your old house, but you need to play safe. You need to be safe and be smart. Hope for the best, plan for the worst. Change those locks. And I like drill her down. Like, you promise me you're going to change those locks. Yes, 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 I promise. Me knowing full well, how are you going to do? You don't know how to change locks. But like, still, you're telling me that like you get the seriousness here. So that's on a Thursday. Everybody's coming on Friday. Friday night, apparently she goes and is posting pictures online because, all for the gram. Everything is, the masks we wear, right, is he's at like he did like an open mic kind of DJ set something in Dayton, and she's there supporting him.
Yep.
So I'm like floored. Like, okay, so you couldn't come, didn't come. Okay, whatever. Like, if for whatever reason you don't want to come, but like you made it like you were telling me you had a refundable plane ticket and you were going to come and surprise me. And like all of that reads like BS to me. But like, okay, this is what you're saying to me. This is the mask that you're presenting to me. So now you're not only was like that not true, the whole sob story of like what's going on. And then so I just sent her a message. I stewed for Saturday, and Sunday morning I just sent the message like, "Were you with Uncle Fester? Were you out with him? Whatever. Were you at his show?" To which she just says yes with a couple other people we know. I'm like, that's all she says. Apparently, she doesn't owe me any other explanation than that. Like, that's where it's at. Like, I just, I was fine to go on the ride of the abuse and the worry and my own disappointment as a friend of like, hey, I like expressed that I wanted you here for this thing and you didn't. And so apparently all of that is meaningless because now she wants to like puff up her chest and like, oh, but I get to do what I want, or which is true. Like, everybody can make decisions. There seems to be this idea that some people can make decisions and that those decisions don't have consequences. Like, they get to write both sides of the story how they want it and whatever suits them. And to me, I go, that seems very selfish to me. So then I don't really hear anything after like that exchange. I'm just kind of like, okay, whatever. So then she called me, left me like a voice memo that was like, oh, just wanted to catch up. Like, how's everything going? Like, totally like disconnected from what I'm experiencing as reality as it relates to her, because I can only go by the experiences that we have had, the exchanges we have had. So she so I like didn't respond to that because I was just I responded the next day and I was like, hey, my mother-in-law is here, like we're doing stuff, like I don't really have space to like catch up right now, like because I'm trying to like kind of make sense of what the heck is happening. And then she responds by asking me if I'm going to remake Adam's mala, the only one. Now I put like a ton of intention. It takes me forever to make these malas. Like, I handpick all the pieces. I do ho'oponopono. Like, they're very much an energetic like embodiment of like my energy that I sell. And she had asked to give to him for his birthday back in May or March. So I didn't even charge her for like the full whatever because I was going to go home and visit and they were going to take care of like getting something for me, and so I was just like, let's just like call it even, whatever. Trying to be nice because I know that like he doesn't make any money and like she supports everything, and so it's like, I know mixing business and friends can be messy, and like, okay, my bad, I got myself into this. And I also made her a mala and gifted it to her, so like kind of feel like I showed up in this relationship and this friendship from a lot of different levels. And she sent me and so like Adam was the only, or Uncle Fester.
Doesn't matter at this point.
I know, right? Is the only one of like, I sold like 20 of these malas like to friends and stuff. His is the only one that broke. And he was the only one that was like, I had to tell him, I was like, yeah, don't wear this to like a show. Like, these are delicate pieces. Like, they're not indestructible. Like, what are you like a little common sense, a little like understanding of like, this is like this is like a spiritual piece here. Like, this isn't like, you know. So his, of course, is the only one that breaks. He sends it back, and I was like, the tradition is when a mala breaks, the energy has done its job. Now, that happened very quickly, which now in hindsight, I'm going like, oh, this is a absolute symbolic of the relationship between this person and me. Like, I've done my job. Of course that mala broke.
Yeah.
But I was new to making them and selling them, and so I felt like, oh, I was playing in my own lack of like needing it to seem more valuable to people that don't appreciate the value. So I offered to retie it. So he sends it back to me, and it's just like, even just like the feeling of the beads and stuff, it was just like, ugh, like what happened here? Like, I'm trying to retie it, and I was using like a stronger thread, and I'm like halfway through tying it and it snaps again. And I'm like, this is a friggin' sign. And like, I don't want to be making this mala for this person who has like already disrespected the first one, like, who then I was home when I like saw that, like, and saw like that the energy has not changed. Like, this is not a situation I want in my life. So in the meantime of me like figuring out, I had made my like vibin' not striving shirts, and
Classic.
she had thank you, and she wanted one of the crop top ones, and so I had to order some more shorter shirts to make it, and I was waiting to send it to her. So she PayPal'd me like the $25, and I was like holding off to send the shirt because I was like, I'll just send the mala. Like, I kept thinking like I would get to a place where I would just like make it be done, which is disrespectful of my own process. Like, I'm seeing that clearly now as well. Like, these things are specific. They are meant for specific people, like who they find home with. Like, it's a mitzvah. Like, these are, and again, like in this dynamic, yet again, I'm like overriding what the subtlety of like what I know to be true to me. So she sends me a message yesterday as we are taking my mother-in-law up to Crater Lake that just says, are you going to send my money back for the shirt and the mala? Or are you going to like send them all? Which, like, okay, valid question. Like, from a standpoint, valid question. Given how all of this is going and playing out, like, why wouldn't you connect with me on this? Like, why are you trying to like puff your chest at me like I've done something wrong and you think I owe you something? Like, we're friends. Like, and I kind of go like, all right. So I debated it yesterday, and there's a lot of different like layers of this kind of, kind of a lack and abundance as it relates to relationships and money and a lot of different things. And so I just sent, I I don't didn't believe that I owed money for the mala that I already made that he broke. That, I mean, probably could have just sent your beads back and said, you figure out how to make malas for that energy. Seems like your turn to learn to chop wood and carry water, but okay.
I mean, that's kind of the thought I had, is like if my mala broke, I think I would probably just redo it myself, is what I would probably do. But
Yeah, because there's a part of it where it's like learning to do that. Like, malas they're a spiritual process and ritual all in their own. And you pay for someone else to do that for you, like someone like me, because I've been working in energy for a long time and I put a lot of intention and I to help you on your journey. Something you can physically wear to help strengthen your energy field as you're learning how to do it on your own. If that breaks, Like, I'm always happy. Like if somebody, I like doing them. So I mean, it's like no big deal. Like, but the situation surrounding this whole thing, I was out of alignment and out of my own comfortability. I was getting pushed off my center the whole time. And like even she got a couple sweatshirts and like great. I appreciate her supporting our new business and all of that. I had to like wait extra long. I had to like I ordered all the stuff before it had been paid for and like, so there was a part where it was like a little bit like this is already like kind of a hassle. Like I'm already having to do more for you rather than you're like showing up to an even exchange. I'm having to like hold your hand. And then, okay, you want this thing, you want me because you want my stamp of approval on your relationship. And so, like, in some weird subversive way, like by having me do this thing because you want me to do it for you to give to him as a gift. And then what do you know? It breaks. Like nobody else has had any issues with theirs, right? Like, and they also are treating them like oh, this is a piece, this is specific. Um I mean, that said, I feel like also like, if somebody wants me to remake it for them, like, I don't care. Like, they're fun. This one wasn't fun. It wasn't fun from jump. And like, I did it. I brought you that. I also made one for you to like, just as a purely as a gift. Like, you didn't ask me. I surprised you with it. And like, maybe I can't count that in my frustration. But it does seem odd then that like if somebody gives me a gift, especially something like that I know is like meaningful to them, like I'm never going to ask you for it. I'm going to be so I mean, I'm still like I love my tongue scraper you got me because it was a gift because you were thinking of me and
Oh,
you're
I
like
did get
how
you a touch scraper, didn't I? I forgot about
yeah,
that.
I still have it. Like
Yeah.
I still it's and I every time I look at it, I go like this was a reflection of Wes's care and love for me. I mean it. It's
Yeah,
just
I know. I know. It's funny though.
like
Uh,
worried about my oral health. Hell yeah, I've had a lot of mouth issues and stuff. Like what a direct like, oh, thank you. Thank you for bringing me one of your tools that's going to help improve my life and my world and you want to share it with me. Like we want to it's like we're little kids that want to just like share our little box of like look what I found.
yeah.
Like this is helpful. And so I feel like that I feel very like in the truth of it, Chris kind of helped whittle me down to, how am I really feeling when I get under like the rage of and like the just absolute like baffledness of it. It's like I feel unseen. I feel like this person sold me a friendship connection that they weren't actually capable of having. And in the mask of like who this person is, I mean, were the signs there? Yeah. Like, you're on social media, like most of the stuff you're posting is like not at all the truth of like the experience you're having. Like, so you're already like creating like alternate versions of reality to segment yourself off into and exist within. Many people do that. We're seeing a lot of that start to crumble and fall. It's been the very thing that I've been apprehensive about even putting anything of my own out there because I want to really make sure that like as much as I can, the person that's showing up here is like, if you met me on the street, you'd probably think I was wilder, but it would be in the same lens and trajectory that you would see me public facing. Like, I'm going to talk about the same weird stuff. You just would get longer doses of it
Yeah.
in person. I want to be a whole person. I want to be firmly on my center and operating from there. So, could I have looked at a lot of different levels of this relationship and like taken off my own rose colored glasses and gone like what's actually happening here in this what's actually here? And I mean it's kind of brought me to a weird spot of like I still care and love this person, but like you're not a friend, you're a client. You if you want to engage with me for the type of service and help that you're getting from me, because it's always that like, you know, phone call, freaking out, what do I do? Like, all right, well, I don't want to be on that ride anymore with you. So that's kind of like, oh, so I sent the money. And then I just right before we started here got a message of, I feel like you're mad at me and we need to clear the air and
Mm,
talk. I'm like, no, honey. No, I like the fact that you can't read what was happening here, or like how you've been disrespectful, or how you've left me feeling like as a part in this. Like I'm constantly trying to like meet you where you're at, and you have no interest in meeting me where I'm at. And in any kind of like real way. So I don't know. Just
yeah.
I kind of feel like that was clean break. Here you go. Because it's the same thing that she's playing in with Uncle Fester of like she's like afraid to let it go to see. No, I'm not afraid to let it go.
Yeah.
We'll see where the bells shake. I don't know. So that's what I've got going on. So now that I've spewed all of that at you, thoughts?
Oh. Ooh. Could you actually, first thought, could you turn your speakers down maybe just a hair? I can hear a little bit of my voice as like
Yes.
feedback. I think, yeah. I think that's good.
Is that better?
Solid.
Cool.
Um, yeah. I mean, that oftentimes, at least for me, I found that's one of the last barriers is if it seems like the person to some extent understands what's happening or is able to like look at themselves and see how they've been brought to that place. And without that understanding, then there's no, I mean, there's not, I don't say, it's not that there's not a path back, but like that indicates to me it's going to be at best a very long, drawn out experience that then, if you want to be a part of that, it's going to be like a very difficult one. It's going to be a really, really long one. But that is an interesting thing too, because I mean, I think that she probably has her own perception of you and maybe the ways that you've wronged her, et cetera, and maybe whatever story is created. But if those things like would be true, you know, I might be making a lot of assumptions here, but I wonder, if things are true and maybe you've done things to her that she perceives as wrong, why hasn't she let go of the friendship, right? So it's like that same thing can pop up in a lot of different places. There's a lot of thoughts. So, what did the whole experience give you?
Well, I had an experience kind of Sunday morning before I sent the initial, like, were you with him? And we were the night before, all friends hanging out, for the party we had. And there was a part where I felt like I was really kind of struggling to be present and like get in my body. And when I like kind of laid down what would have been Sunday morning because we were up real late, like I kind of suddenly had this awareness and shared it with Chris of like all of a sudden I felt like I got sat on my own like little node point of shadow of feeling like, oh, I didn't choose this. I didn't choose this life. I didn't choose the traumas I've had. I'm living a life that I didn't choose. And I was really emotional. I started crying, and Chris just held the space beautifully. And it was like almost like acknowledging that and letting it just be okay. Like, okay, that's what's what I'm feeling, it's what I'm experiencing. It's the thing that I keep trying to run away from admitting. Now that I've admitted it, I can kind of like release it. And all of a sudden, I had just this energy, this fire, this like rage in a way that was much more just direct. Like it wasn't just like, oh, I'm just mad. It was like this is a hard stop. This is a hard stop. No one. It was just like all of a sudden this like clarity that I had access to, and it was like I could feel it like in my solar plexus, like that energy almost like come through some level of something. and I have been purging it like kind of ever since. So this has been several days now. I mean, at one point I woke up in the middle of the night. I thought like a alien was gonna pop out of my chest, and ended up like throwing up, and like it was a whole release, and that was days later. So definitely I'm feeling this sense of like actual energy. I can feel my um just my heart, my chest, like things are just there's just another energy present. So I feel like in some ways that scenario and being kind of activated in that way, it kind of somehow came together in this because I felt like Sally, Uncle Fester. There was something that happened with my 85-year-old, um, the guy that owns the business right next to mine. There was an odd interaction there, and where it has felt like this kind of taking energy, and all of a sudden I had access to the like no, which is a lot of times I debate and I pick apart and I'm like, and oh, I want to people please, and I don't want anyone to be mad at me or think I'm bad, or you know, all of those things that we like. I think we all do, but I know I've lived a life in a female body in America. Uh, and so a lot of like we're taught and conditioned like this is how women are supposed to be perceived. So I think that feeds that energy as well, and allows for this just kind of taking, which seems very related to that energy of the sacral and the power dynamic being kind of siphoned from like what it is to be like a woman and have a womb and this creative power and essence that we're trying to like kind of understand. And then the power play of like subduing that or using that or manipulating that, controlling that, which is also done from the same like low level shadow. And so I kind of feel like I got this access point to like kind of come through both the like kind of like the shadows of those pieces to see them from just a clean line. And now it's like the dust is settling. And so then those old stories try to come in to like see if, are you really done ready to clear this whole thing, or are there parts that you're
Yeah.
still perspectives you're still like attached to looking at yourself and others through. And so I was debating it a lot with like the sending the money back, because like there's a part of me that wanted to like really ticky tacky. So there an idea showed up this weekend around this idea of a large shadow aspect in the collective, that I'm referring to killing the bean counter.
Okay. Explain.
It feels like this deeper level of like lack abundance back and forth, and this like internal bean counter of like the ticky tacky, like I'm in a but like we're even when I say we're even, or um even the desire to like with Sally send the beads back, send the money back on the shirt, and like now we're even. It's like, oh, but I had to keep track of that. So that's not really abundant. Whereas like, oh, you think I owe you something? Okay, here you go. Like, okay, cool. We're done. This is done. Bye. Here you go. I'm not operating in relationships where we're owing each other and you think I owe you. So let me square that up. And now I know where we're at. We're on different sides of this fence. Um, it's still like kind of showing up, but it just feels like a space to operate if we can look at all the qualities and characteristics of like our own internal bean counter, like what however that
Yeah.
shows up, and then allow the space for that like kind of if we're in the triangle and we've got that bean counter going back and forth between lack and abundance, or trying to control abundance, which is inherently lack, how then can we like pan back out and allow for that neutral space of how can I perceive of this from a more abundant lens, because like we don't really have a whole lot of practice at that, but there must be some way, there must be some path. And so I feel like I'm kind of like nitty-gritty picking through that. And it seems to come with that, like, I mean, sacred rage. I like the rage. It feels like just a directed potency, because rage to me always seems like it's related to anger, and anger is, I know, a secondary emotion to sadness and grief. And so it doesn't seem like it's tied. It seems like it's the spokesperson for that grief that says we are in tandem, and I'm upset, and my feelings are valid, and this is the space that I claim to feel those feelings, and you can stay over there because I don't need you to help me feel these feelings, and I don't need you to feel them for me, and I'm not going to do the work for you to feel yours. So it's like a different texture.
Yeah, yeah. It's almost the example that comes to mind is from I'm sure you've watched. Remember the Jason Bourne movies from like a long time ago? I remember those movies, and I think about the fight scenes that they would have, and like the energy that was with the fight scenes is like there was no anger. It was just like very focused intention. And like the actions can actually look very similar to anger because they're actually exchanging and fighting. But in the movie, like the character that Jason Bourne is like he's just very like intentional, methodical person who is like moving through the world in that way. And so I kind of think of it almost in that way, where it's not like an expression of anger. It is like this like raw intention that is just in flow that is being expressed, which can almost be perceived as anger depending on the situation.
Yeah, it feels exacting is the word that comes up. And I think where I'm perplexed a little in looking at it is what steers that? Is it subjective? Is there an objective truth? Because I'm trying to like ground this into myself, and kind of unsure how to engage with it a little bit of like, yeah.
Mm.
Or is it just like my objective truth or my subjective truth is objective to me?
That's a hard one. I have to think about that a lot. Is my objective truth? I mean, technically, well, that's a good question. All right. I, yeah, I don't know the answer to that.
My so far my thought is at a certain point, I think it is we just come to the surrender, and it's kind of the like, okay, do you believe in a benevolent universe? Okay, so everything is working for you. And there's a part where it is let go, let God. So I can have my subjectively objective truth and also let go, let God for the situation. Like, I don't have to be the savior that teaches Sally how to have a relationship with me. I can just go continue having a relationship with me, allow that frequency to bring to me the people and experiences in my life that I want to have. When there's something that seems like I already know that I'll show up and do the due diligence of, if there's a difficult situation with someone I love, I will engage in that to, mine that for whatever gold is there that helps us both evolve into the most full versions of ourselves. I've already established that that's my typical, that's where my pendulum rests there.
Yeah, well, that's something I've tried to understand too, because there's like, at least for me, sometimes it can be hard for me to figure out. I can't say the word differentiate between what I call it, like participating and then putting effort in, if that makes sense. Or think of effort as almost like a unaligned action, and then participation is like aligned action, and one is forcing the other is allowing the story to be written while like being a character in it, almost like there's a flow to it. And it could be sometimes like I can't quite understand when I'm just participating, and when does it, if ever, require me to participate in like a more in like a bigger way, if that makes sense. Because there's some level of like I I think that I'm here and I'm existing in a physical body to experience, and then I have whatever something, whether it's an aligned action, whether it's deterministically for me, or whatever you want to get into that side. So then my participation is why I'm here, to experience that. But then on one side, it's like if I put more effort in, so like say I read 5 books as an example, a simple example, instead of 3 books, is any of that necessary, and or how much is necessary, and when is it like participating versus effort?
Yeah, I struggle with that also. It seems to be that the more and more you surrender into that passenger consciousness of just letting your life unfold, and like when you feel the desire, you finished your 3 books and you still felt this internal desire to read the 4th book, was that desire rooted in a shadow of I I will be better if I do this, or is it truly coming from a place of enjoyment and I just want to? And I think there's a part where it's in the deconditioning of, I know you were homeschooled, but even still, like
Yeah.
a lot of these same ideas would have been, I have to imagine, also present in the energy of your school experience, despite the different way that it presented, is in that like you got to study this to know this to get here. There's always this kind of pushing you forward off of your center that
Hmm.
happens in like modern education. And I think part of the deconditioning then is, okay, so reading this 4th book doesn't say anything about my goodness or badness, which can already be a difficult thing to like really kind of land in that spot. I just want to because I want to. And when I don't want to, I'll put it down and I'll trust that whatever is for me will find me. And whatever my intention is in how you already set up like your algorithm of life, of like, I'm for me, my algorithm of life is I want to be the fullest embodiment of consciousness in a human form that I can be in this life and in this experience, because that seems fun to me, it seems exciting, it seems like it gives my life purpose, and I'm drawn to the unfolding of it. When I find where I'm starting to like should myself, or like I should read this 4th book because it will, I can feel right away where the should kind of drops me in perspective, and I can play that story. I can do it from that place because maybe there's a little shadow aspect of me, a little young version of Kristen living in there that just wants to feel accomplished, just wants to feel like I did the thing that I said I would do. Beautiful. We can feed her all day long, but also sit with her in the, well, what are you getting from that? Like, what are you wanting? Is this the experience that you wanted? Are you sure? Is there other ways that we can get this feeling? Are there, and then it's like kind of that exploration. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
tough because like when you're in it and you're in the deciding, it's like, ah,
Yeah. I can usually feel, uh, when I am maybe switching more to the effort side, it's almost always it's searching for certainty and clarity in something, which is safety, essentially, like looking for safety, or like if I'm doing something, I want to feel certain. that I am prepared, that it is right, that is whatever, that this is what I should be doing. And then that's where the control part comes in, where I want to control it to have safety in doing it. And then oftentimes that will put me into more of like an effort place than, maybe just like a participation place, which I've experienced across like a lot of things, especially probably over the last
Well,
few
I think
months.
that's true too. That's also kind of how you're a manifester in human design.
That's the other thing
So
I was going to say.
yeah. So
It's like,
part
how
of
does
that is
that
like,
tie in too?
yeah. So there's two things that's kind of happening here is like, for one, we have the law of three. We have our triangle, which is active force, passive force, neutral force. So you can really look at the things that you are wanting to accomplish, and you can balance the active, the passive, and the neutral. A lot of times people overdo active. Passive is kind of the thing that they ping pong and make themselves feel guilty with in order to keep driving that active. And then nobody's letting any time for neutral, nothing in, nothing out. Sit in the bathtub and let the divine tell you what it is that you're doing so that you can just take the next step. We get caught in that passive active thing. So with knowing that like those three forces must be represented in anything you want to do, you can then, when you're in an active bucket, you can view it, you can allow it to be that active time while knowing that you're also going to dedicate the same amount of time to passive and same to neutral. So you can start balancing the flow of those forces in your own life. The other side too is you can give yourself the another category of reason within the human design lens, which is why I like human design so much, is that here you are, you're a manifester. You're getting struck with bolts of lightning and a sudden urge to do kind of constantly. You're not going to do all those things. You're not meant to bring all those things into fruition. It can be difficult deciding which things and how and what because you feel such like a potency, but then, and so there can be some deconditioning in your own relationship to that active force because you're kind of a direct line of energy is like into that active place. So you can use the passive side of your time and the neutral side of your time to really see if the thing that wants your active attention does it really have legs. I find that a lot of times those things are more effortless and feel more passive when we allow the space for the neutral and the passive time to balance, that when it's time for action, it feels so much more effortless that you could almost kind of confuse it for passive because it just doesn't feel like your old version of active and like the striving and doing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really good. And that was, I feel like that plays well into some of the stuff I've been thinking about when I was just like reviewing like the last few months, a lot of the goals I had. I saw a lot of them, which I mean, it also plays into my manifestor side that a lot of them were like partially complete. Like maybe, I mean, some were like 60%, maybe one was 80, there were maybe some 70s. A lot of them were all in like that place. But it also showed me that, like, sure, on some side, like, that's part of, I guess, what I do to some extent. But also, it came from saying yes to, like, so many different things. Like, when I actually thought through of, like, why didn't I do this? Why didn't I finish this one? And it was always, like, I said yes to something else. And then I didn't fully do that thing. So, I mean, part of, like, the next 3 months that I've been parsing out of, like, figuring out how I can say no to much more than maybe what I have in the past. And that's like to myself, and that can be to other people too. It can play for all of those things. So I'm just playing around with how much I can say no to versus the other way. So we'll see what happens going forward.
Yeah, I think that's a great swing the pendulum.
Yeah.
And you can look at too, like with your human design. Maybe our next one we'll do like a human design podcast.
Cool.
Um, yeah, because you can look at, I don't have yours pulled up right now, but then your profile line. So like, how does your energy, now you've got this manifester thing of like you're getting struck with lightning. Your job is going to be how well can you communicate and inform around you. That's always going to be something like the more that you work on communication and how to express like your internal world is always going to like serve you. And you can look at your profile lines and see maybe where some of that's going to be easier, like how that energy is going to show up. Like if it's a 3 line or a 1 line, a 1 line really loves to investigate. So like leaning into researching and maybe reading the 5 books because it's actually satisfying that part of you that just loves to do some research because you've got this 1 line informing how your manifestor spirit shows up. You can start to see some of the pictures of it really is just a bucket of like, oh, I can expand more fully in this bucket because I can actually drop the part of me that is judging myself for this or putting shoulds and shouldn'ts on myself for this. And I can just be more of that passenger consciousness because I'm seeing how I'm observing how my energy wants to move. And I'm in tandem with the dance of like watching it, watching myself, witnessing myself in my life, and seeing how these things are like showing up to play with you. And then when something shows up and it's a little sticky, it's like, okay, well, this is a little sticky, pan out. What's the active, what's the passive, what's the neutral, what is the stickiness showing me? And like then it's just how do you want to try and move it? You can look at how you used to in the past. Well, what would be a little change you could make just to try to swing that pendulum and just see how it feels different? Maybe you like it, maybe you don't. And then that's where I kind of always set up that overarching algorithm intention of if I make a decision that is not for my highest arching goal of the fullness of consciousness in my human body in this life, please make that reroute as obvious and gentle as possible. And a lot of times that'll come through scenarios of friends or what I'm seeing, on social media or in the world. Because I don't actually want the energy to necessarily like come punch me in the face.
Yeah.
I've done that. We've done that part. I want to see it coming from further out. I will do my due diligence to kind of show up and see what it's trying to express and tell me about why am I seeing this? So it must be related to something in me and how can I play with this gooey ball? Um, I think the situation with like Uncle Fester and Sally is it just got like very close in. And so then there's just kind of like I feel like I learned volumes over the last couple years around many energies that I had not really allowed myself to like be that in close proximity with. Some of those were good, some of those were very fun and wonderful, and then some of them were not. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm gonna start making that. I'm just gonna write it on a piece of paper. Like make it. Would you say simple and gentle or something?
Gentle and obvious.
Gentle and obvious. I would like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I'm good on getting punched in the face by. Done that enough.
Well, and then it makes it more fun too. Like instead of like beating yourself up for like being on social media or maybe watching TV and like this time that you think you're just kind of like vegging out, you've already set your algorithm to have the whole world speak to you in the energy that's presented in a way that is going to help you actualize the fullness of consciousness in a human form in this lifetime. Like you've already set that. So like now in your passive time of just vegging out, you're going to see like the Diddy story or the Captain Fleshlight or the John Armadillo. You're going to see those scenarios and you're going to see all the correlations. You're going to see where it's related. Now your reality is going to start to become the oracle because you've set it up that way, and you can look at it and dissect it within yourself or think about it or ponder it or however feels like a release to you, because you're bringing your conscious awareness to more aspects of your reality. So now it doesn't have to come punch you in the face.
Yeah.
You can watch other people make those mistakes and go like, "Oh, I'm good. No, thank you." And
Yeah.
and then you know too, like if something does show up in your reality, you're interfacing with it from a different place of, I know this is working for me. I know that I've probably done a lot of legwork around this energy already, and now this is just a part that's really personally connected to me. So now we can unwind it even deeper and just let let go, let God.
Yeah. Fucking nice. I feel like that's a good wrap up point, I
Yeah.
think.
Oh, thank you for sitting with me through this. As I kind of maybe a bit clunkily hashed through this. I'm still kind of in it, but I wanted to. I always really value your energy and your perspective and just your essence, and I look forward to doing this again.
I know for sure. Yeah, we'll probably do it reasonably soon. I don't know if you, I assume you guys don't have a lot planned, but if you need a little downtime, that's fine too.
Let's get this. I'm riding this like
Yeah.
rage, whatever. Put let, I want to have conversations and put them out there and let whatever happen.
Same. I'm on the I just don't care. In like a reasonable way. It's like I don't care about the production of it, the whatever. I'm just gonna talk to people and then I'm just gonna post it. We're gonna see what happens. With that being
Yep.
said, do you want me to edit anything or do I don't know how many
I
fucks to
mean,
give. Up to you. I don't
no,
care. This has like everyone's very tangential to me, so I don't care. I'll post this straight up, but it's up to you.
I say screw it. Let's do it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah. I mean, I am not in the habit of building new masks to hide under.
fair enough. That's true. It's like the exact thing that we just talked about. You know.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't even think about that. That
It
has
is
been the
what it is.
interesting thing, like seeing people I think it's like very known of like, oh, the social media world is like kind of fake and people present, but it wasn't until I had like some tangential knowledge, I guess, of like kind of inside that world of just like, this is like layers deeper than I thought it was. Like, this is incredible. This like, it's almost like the entire apparatus of influencing social media has been like built on this foundation of just presentation, and then like built, stories and stories up, Tower of Babel of sorts, and that shit is just getting wrecked right now.
Wrecked.
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 Yeah.
I will say, just because I do think credit where credit is due, um, Erin Diamond is exactly who she is inside and outside. And I think because she was kind of my first friend that was ever in that space, like I also made assumptions that that was kind of how everybody operated. Just, you don't know what you don't know. But credit where credit is due. And I will always say that.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've talked to Megan about that too. Of just like, of the people I've met or of the people I even know of that are like very prominent on social media. I was like, in my experience, I would say Aaron and Jordan are like some of the few people that I felt were like very authentic in like who they are on social media versus who they are in real life. I'd say Tim is also another one of those people for me, just in terms of like when I listen to a podcast he does, I'm like, oh, when I talk to him one on one, he talks to me exactly like that. And when I hang out with him at the ranch, he talks to me pretty much like he does on a podcast. So out of like all of that, and I mean, you could even say Tim isn't necessarily in like the influencer space at all. Aaron and Jordan are much more in that space based on like following, but it's like surprisingly rare, I would say, and even in myself too. I'm still processing. I think that entire thing, and then parsing out, like showing up authentically versus maybe how I have in the past. So I'm processing all that too. So we're just having fun at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think too, 2027, there's a massive shift. Human design lays it out beautifully, but evidence of this shift shows up in many, many different, histories, texts. Um, and the currency is we're going from this very tribal period of the last 400 years across the planning. We've built all this infrastructure. We, of course, at the end, the late stage capitalism, we're looking at our creation over the last 400 years, and we're seeing problems with it, of course, because that's how you carry the energy into a new age. We will be very rose colored glasses for a while in the new age with the new energy, I'm sure. But we're going from this communal tribal experience of the energy, this very bargain based, like, I will go learn this skill so I can then sell my skill back to the collective, and then that will meet my needs. That energy is all breaking down, and in 2027 it just will not be part of the background frequency. So we're in this where we're going to this individual experience, and we're going into an individualized age. We're Authenticity is just going to be the currency. And so the more that we break down our own masks and we show up and we do that nitty gritty, I always call it like picking the fish bones. Like, we
Yeah.
do that work for ourselves to like keep breaking down our own masks to figure out how to be more authentic and be more honest of who we are in every moment, and really be firmly planted on our center, not being driven around by our trauma. That's why we do shadow work and all these things, so that we really can just be the biggest, fullest expression of consciousness in our human body in this lifetime, and see how that works. See how fun that is.
Yeah.
Way more fun.
Seems
I
like it'd be
think
way more
I'm
fun.
built for the new shit. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Awesome.
cool.
I love you.
I love you. Thank you.
I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Word up. Peace.
Peace.